All right, hey guys. So I have a few questions that we're going to go over how we would go about solving these problems. So for question one, we have of the 95 children in the sixth grade. So there's 95 children in sixth grade. So that's an important number. 95 kids in the sixth grade. Okay. 3/5 went to holiday parties. How many went to holiday parties in all? So there's 95 kids in the sixth grade, and 3/5 of them went to the holiday party. We need to figure out what is 3/5 of 95. So to do this, you're basically trying to find an equivalent fraction. So you're trying to find 3/5. Remember simplifying fractions? We have to find what's equivalent to 3/5 when 95 is the denominator or the total number that we're working with. So we're trying to find how many, what the numerator is over 95. So this right here is what we need to figure out. The easiest way to do this and the most straightforward way to do this is I need to figure out what times 5 equals 95. Because whatever that number is, I can just times that by the 3, and that will give me the equivalent fraction. So this is a little bit different from the common multiplication and division problems we've been working on, but it's in line with what we have been doing with equivalent fractions and trying to find other fractions that create the same amount. So in this question, something times 5 equals 95. Easiest way to do that is to work backwards. What's the opposite of multiplication? Is division. So if I take 95 and divide it by 5, that gives me 19. If I take 5 times 19, that gives me 95. So in this case, this is how I find my equivalent fraction. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top as well. So I take 3 and I multiply it by 19 as well. So 3 times 19 is 57. So the equivalent fraction to 3 over 5 is 57 over 95. They're equivalent fractions. How can I tell that I got it right? Well, I divide these both by 19, the same numbers that I got here. Divided by 19, will it give me 3/5? It will in this case. So that's how I know how many is 3/5 of 95 kids. So in this case, 57 kids went to holiday parties. So that's question one. Question 3. Question 3. A train arrives at a station with 150 passengers on board. So let's write that down. There's 150 passengers. Okay? 2/5 of those passengers get off the train in Seattle. So 2/5 get off the train. I need to figure out how much is 2/5 of 150. So again, we're doing equivalent fractions. So 2/5 equals something over 150. How do I find this equivalent fraction? I can do the same thing that I did in question 1, because 5 times something equals 150. So in this case, I take 150 and divide it by 5. And this gives me 30. So if I take my denominator and times it by 30, 5 times 30 gives me 150. All right, 2 times 30 would give me my numerator. So remember, whatever I do to the top bottom number, I have to do to the top. So 2 times 30 is 60. So 60 of the 150 passengers got off in Seattle. So how many passengers are left on the train? 150 minus 60 will give us how many passengers are left on the train, because 60 went off or got off the train. I need to figure out how many are still on it. So 150 minus 60 equals 90. So I have 90 passengers still on the train. And then there's the last part of this question is 35 passengers board the train. How many passengers are on the train when it leaves the station? So I have 90 passengers who are still on the train plus 35 that get on. So this is a simple addition, is I just take the 90, I plus the 35 passengers that got on, and now I have 125 passengers on the train. Okay. Next part. Let's see what I put here. Question 4. 30 people watched a soccer game last night. So 30 people watched a soccer game. All right. Those tickets cost $2.75 each. So of those 30 people, every single one of them would have had to buy a ticket to go to the soccer game. So they all had to pay $2.75 to go. So I have to figure out how much money did they make in just the ticket sales. But then there's the next part of this question that says half of these fans bought a program at $1.50 each. So half bought a program that was $1.50. Whoops. So $1.50. So first of all, let's figure out how much they made in just the ticket sales. This one's pretty simple, is 30 fans went to the soccer game. They each bought a ticket for $2.75 each. 30 times 2.75. And this gives me $30 times 2.75 gives me 82.5. So $82.50 is what they made in just the ticket sales. Now I have to figure out how much they made in the programs that were $1.50 each. Only half of the fans bought programs. So I have to find half of 30. How can I find half of 30? Well, it could be like the other questions that we did where we find the equivalent fraction. The other option is 30 divided by 2 gives me half of it. So I'm splitting it into 2 equal parts. Okay? And 1/2 is just one of those 2 equal parts. So 30 divided by 2 gives me 15. So half of 30 is 15 people. So now I have to figure out how much money they made from the programs. So 15 people bought a program at $1.50 each. 15 times $1.50 equals $22.50. So they made $22.50 from the programs and $82.50 from the ticket sales. Now, how much do they make all together? Just add those two numbers up. So 82.50 plus 22.50 $105 even is what they made. So when half the pants bought program and all of them bought a ticket, they made $105 altogether. So a lot of these questions here are based off of finding those equivalent fractions. So if you're given a total number, like this number 6, there's 6 books on the shelves, there's 72 books per shelf. how many books are there altogether? So 6 bookshelves, 72 books per shelf. Yep. So you would have to multiply that number. How many books are there altogether? So you find out whatever 6 times 72 is. Now, a third of these are nonfiction. How many fictional books are there? So with your total of 6 times 72, you need to find out whatever a third is. So you have to find that equivalent fraction. The easiest way to do is, let's say, for example, it's not actually this number. Your total was 106. You would take that 106 and divide it by 3, and that will give you 1/3, because what you're doing is you're taking that whole group of number and you're putting it into 3 equal groups. Remember when you started learning how to do multiplication years and years ago? Multiplication is just adding up evenly sized groups of numbers. So 3 groups of 5, and you're adding all 3 up together. So it's just repeated addition of equal sized groups. So division, especially in the case of fraction, you're splitting up your whole number, your total, into equally sized groups. And you're figuring out how many in that one, or how many are in that one sized group. So it's simple division and working out equivalent fractions. Okay? So those are 3 of the questions there, plus the bonus 6th question as an explanation. If you're still having trouble, let me know. But otherwise, a lot of the other questions are very similar. They're using similar numbers. So for example, number 2 uses the number 72 as the whole, and you're looking for a quarter of it. Number 6 uses 72 as well. And number 8 also uses 72. So some of these numbers are very similar. You just have to figure out the proper fraction to use for them. All right. Hope you guys, good luck with this. If you have any more questions, let me know. And I hope you have a fantastic day.